All right, buckle up, Buttercup, because the housing market, it's gone from a mild cough to a full-blown emergency in record time, and frankly, it's a mess. Just a few weeks ago, you had Mark Zandi, the chief economist at Moody's Analytics, sending up a yellow flare, a heads-up signal, but now he's waving a big, flashing red flare. Why the sudden panic? Because, my friend, the housing market outlook is deteriorating faster than a cheap suit in a hurricane, and the big bad wolf behind it all. Mortgage rates, baby, hitting nearly 7%, and Zandi doesn't expect them to fall anytime soon, unless those rates drop drastically. Home sales, new construction, and prices are all headed for a slump. But this isn't just about affording your dream house anymore. It's looking like housing is about to become a major drag on the entire economy. The typically busy spring selling season? Yeah, it was a total bust. Existing home sales bumped up a smidge in May, but it was still the slowest May for sales since 2009. We're talking Great Recession, throwback territory. And new homes, not faring any better. Sales of new single-family homes tanked 13.7% in May, and housing starts were down 4.6% in June, with permits also taking a hit. Not a good sign. Here's where it gets even messier. Homebuilders are throwing in the towel. They tried to keep things moving with rate buydowns to help buyers manage those sky-high rates, but even that's too expensive now, Zandi bluntly says. They are giving up. It's simply too expensive, and that's a big deal. Builders are delaying land purchases, which means new home starts and completions are set to decline further. As for prices, they've been holding up like a patient faking good health, but not anymore. They're going sideways and set to turn lower. With the Case-Shiller Index, it's already showing a 0.3% drop in April. And check this out. 38% of builders cut prices in July. Steady increase month after month. This isn't a seasonal hiccup. It's a clear downward trend that's picking up steam. Oddly enough, supply is actually rising. People with locked-in low mortgage rates are starting to list because of life changes like jobs or family needs, but many aren't finding buyers. That leads to an eerie twist. Delistings are up 35% year-to-date and 47% year-over-year in May. It's like musical chairs where everyone's paused mid-step, unsure whether to sit or run. Zooming out, Zandi warns that housing will soon be a full-blown headwind to broader economic growth. It's one more problem piling up for the back half of the year and early next. He's not alone. Citi Research said the same back in May, citing Ed Limmer's famous warning that residential investment is the best leading indicator of an oncoming recession. They pointed to fewer permits, rising inventory, and falling median prices, noting that housing is the most interest rate-sensitive sector and clearly struggling under 7% mortgage rates. But hey, let me lay it out plain. You can't just solve housing with interest rates alone, unless you're ready to crash the job market and force mass unemployment. That's not really an option, right? The Fed's not going to try to control housing that way, not directly. And yeah, I've heard the argument that full employment for the Fed means around 5%. So technically, they've got room to maneuver. But here's a reality check. A 0.9% increase in unemployment is still a couple million Americans out of work. That's a huge blow to GDP, to consumer spending, to healthcare access. It's not some abstract stat. It's people's lives. And honestly, I don't even fully trust the unemployment numbers as they are. I think the real unemployment rate is much higher, somewhere in the 10 to 20% range. Higher unemployment isn't just bad for the economy. It wrecks people mentally, financially. It's linked to more suicides. This isn't just economics, it's humanity. Now, here's something I keep going back to. People act like today's mortgage rates are outrageous. But if you look historically, they're not that high. The real problem is the price of the house. Today's prices only make sense if you've got rock-bottom interest rates. That's the twisted part. One of them's got to give, and fast. And don't even get me started on how much the dollar has been devalued. All the money printing during COVID, plus the Fed's massive quantitative easing, that's what's really driving up asset prices like housing. We're all poorer than we think, and the crazy part is, most of us don't even realize it yet. People under 30, it's basically locked out of the housing market entirely. It's a brutal truth. Then layer on top of that the ridiculous tariffs and immigration policies. Tariffs jack up the price of basic building materials, and with tighter immigration enforcement, There just aren't enough workers on construction sites anymore. Builders are getting crushed from both sides. I know of lumber suppliers quoting builders around $300 per square foot to build, and that's not even including land. Add high mortgage rates and rising property taxes to the mix, and boom, it becomes impossible to profitably build anything affordable. And this whole low supply narrative, I'm calling BS. Supply has actually been rising over the last 3 years. That old line about there being no homes needs to be retired. What we've really got is no demand. Not at these prices and these rates. Delistings sit. People delist after not finding buyers, and inventory quietly builds back up. Still, the fundamental issue in housing is supply. But not just raw supply. It's housing in places where people actually want to live. Zoning laws, NIMBYism, and red tape have strangled new construction in desirable areas. It's a mess of scarcity by design. Now look, I'm all for housing prices coming down. Honestly, I don't get how anyone's affording homes right now. But then the economists warn about deflation being worse than inflation. They've got a point. If prices fall too far, people go underwater on their mortgages. That leads to foreclosures and abandoned homes, which just spirals into a recession. So the Fed's stuck trying to cool inflation just enough, aiming for disinflation, not an actual crash. They're walking a tightrope, and the wind's picking up. And while all this is going on, you know who's actually winning? Big corporations. Institutional investors. They're snapping up single-family homes and turning them into rentals. Housing's becoming a financial asset class. It's no longer about living, it's about leveraging. This whole thing reeks of wealth hoarding. With no major wage growth and no serious tax reform, the ownership class keeps parking their cash in real estate, driving prices up and squeezing the middle class out. They've got nowhere else to put their money, so they'll just keep inflating assets while our wages stay flat until we own nothing and are somehow expected to be happy. That's the game. That's the system. And unless something changes, that's the future. So to sum up, Zandi and others are raising the alarm. Builders are backing away, and the dominoes are starting to fall. High rates, tariffs, labor shortages, it's all a tangled mess. Whether it crashes or just deflates gently, the system feels more rigged than ever. The housing market isn't just a statistic anymore. It's a reflection of deeper cracks in the economy.